American Airlines Flight 77, it left Dulles Airport. 6 crew members on board, 53 passengers as well. Among them, 3 young students and 3 teachers within the D.C. public school system. They had been selected to study ecology with researchers from the National Geographic Society in California. They never made it. Our D.C. correspondent Bofta Yimam shares the story of the D.C. student who lost his mother and 2 others on September 11th.
The attack here at the Pentagon killed 184 people, including 125 military and civilian personnel inside. The blast could be seen and felt around the Washington, D.C. area, including a local elementary school, where an 11-year-old student learned his mother would never return home from work.
That's the heartbreak. That's the reality of every day after that. You know, my life is not the same anymore.
Rodney Marquez Ratchford Jr. holds on to photos differently after 9/11, especially those of his mother.
Her smiling, her laughing, her playing, you know, just riding with her, going to J.C. Penney's all the time, or her going to Wendy's getting us a potato with the chili, you know, things like that.
Known as a go-getter, Marsha Ratchford joined the military after high school and became a first-class technician. Eventually, her career led her to the Pentagon, only about a year before the September 11th attacks.
What I'm used to doing every day is not the same thing anymore. It's totally different now.
For Rodney, that tragic day started with a goodbye kiss on the forehead from Mom, but ended with only a memory of it.
Yes, we're aware of the explosion. We heard that it was a plane down. Can you confirm?
Rodney watched the attack on the World Trade Center on TV while attending Leckie Elementary School in Washington, D.C.
As we're watching that, you literally felt the school shake. Like the school shook. It was you heard the noise, you heard the boom, and it was like, what is that? Like everybody, we dropped down as we were taught, you know, get down, get up under your desk.
After the Pentagon got hit, the school evacuated.
And we could look out the windows and we seen helicopters, like the big Black Hawks. The soldiers was coming down off the ropes. Tanks was coming down the street, going towards the base. Humvees, like anything you can imagine.
Then a neighbor told him to run home and check on his mother, but he only found his father.
My dad, I remember seeing him in front of the window on the phone holding it, and he was crying. And I remember looking at that TV and I seen the Pentagon. They were showing like pictures of the Pentagon on fire. At that moment, I just felt something and I knew something was wrong because I'd never seen my dad cry, first of all. I ran upstairs, man, and went to my mom's room, my mom and dad room, and I literally remember just sitting on that bed holding her sweater. I cried like for hours.
Proud wife and dedicated mother of 3, Marsha Ratchford, at 34 years old, listed among the missing. Rodney later learned Flight 77 carried 2 passengers he knew, Leckie Elementary School's popular teacher, Hilda Taylor, and his best friend, Bernard Brown.
Just like that week before, I believe it was like we had a sleepover, you know, playing the games, playing basketball outside, running around the neighborhood, all this.
Despite moving far from D.C., the horrible events of 9/11 stayed close, the ongoing pain of loss leading him to a mental breakdown by the time he turned 13.
I got this anger in me, so I wasn't really playful. I wasn't really, at this time now, I'm not really playful. Like, I'm not joking, realizing my mom was gone, you know, because also now I'm starting to walk around and I'm seeing people with their mom. You know, I'm out and about, I'm seeing these things. I'm at school and it's Parents' Day.
20 years later, the father of 2 says counseling, church, and cultivating hobbies helped him take the necessary steps forward. And by sharing his story, he hopes to encourage you to open up too.
If you're suffering, if you're in pain, talk about it, you know. Don't try to hold it in as much. I mean, it's okay to hold it in sometime, but at some point you got to let it go.
One of Marsha Ratchford's big dreams after retiring from her work and her career at the Pentagon was to create a nonprofit dedicated to serving the homeless community. In 2002, Rodney says his aunt made that dream come alive and says that nonprofit is still going strong all these years later. At the Pentagon, Bofta Yimam for BNC.
And so, as you can see, that one single day affecting one family hundreds of miles away. Angela in Mobile, Alabama, a son in Northeast Washington, D.C., a school in Northeast Washington, D.C., and that was just Washington. New York lost thousands. We'll be right back. You're watching D.C. Today.